there. Welcome in. Welcome back to another episode of the Format Podcast Live. Yes. Got a pretty interesting show for you here tonight. As you can see, it's just going to be me. I'm going to give you some of my thoughts on some of the things that's going on. And as you can see, we got two LeBron James topics here. Why? Because LeBron James is just a gift that keeps on giving. And I definitely have some thoughts on some of this stuff I've heard recently. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to give a few minutes here and hopefully we get some more bodies in the chat. And then we are going to go ahead and get into it. But before we do that, you know what time it is. If you're here on YouTube and you haven't already, please make sure you go ahead, click that like, that subscribe, that notification bell. Make sure you're kept up to date whenever we drop new content on the channel. If you want the audio-only version of the podcast, open up your audio podcast platform, hit the search bar, type in The Format Podcast, and we should come right up. If you're enjoying the content, make sure you give us that like, that 5-star review, and drop a comment. All that stuff helps us rise in the algorithm, helps us find more sports fans, helps more sports fans find us. And finally, make sure you write it down, put it in your phone, set an alarm, do whatever you got to do to remember. Saturday nights at 7 p.m. we are live here on the Format Podcast, and we'll give you the opportunity to call in, talk to us, get at me. I love it. I can't wait. All right, so normally I don't do shows on Monday night, as you know, as you just saw from the little intro thing there. We definitely do them Saturday nights at 7 p.m., but generally during the week, we try around Wednesday to go ahead and get shows out. But, you know, in the sports world, it's fast moving. So we're always going to get things that come up and they might need to be addressed immediately. And so that's when you're going to see me sometimes pop up at odd times. So if you haven't already, make sure you like and subscribe. And the other thing you want to do is set your notifications so that you know whenever we get on and we want to do something different at an unusual time. Also, just trying to kind of test and experiment and see what are some different times that gain traffic that are good for other people. You know, you can't, you can, but it's good to kind of see different things and see different times and see, you know, when are people reacting, and also to kind of reach out to some different viewers and listeners. So that's what we try to do. But I guess I'm gonna go ahead and get to it. So, all right. So the first topic, as you can see there by the thumbnail, is actually I'm on the wrong thumbnail, pardon me. As you can see by the thumbnail, Rich Paul saved LeBron. Now, I know some of you are probably wondering, what the hell is Bruce talking about, right? So here's the deal. If you've been around this show for a long time, you have heard me constantly talk about how LeBron always has to get saved by someone else, right? I talk about how in, 2013, he got saved by Ray Allen when Ray Allen made that incredible shot in the NBA finals, right? I talk about how in 2016 in the amazing 3-1 comeback. We're not going to talk about, you know, how the NBA gifted him that, but so be it. I always talk about how Kyrie Irving hit that amazing shot over Steph with, I think, about a minute left. What's up, Steve? Good to see you, bro. How he hit that amazing shot to kind of seal that championship. So there's a lot of different situations. Also, there's Anthony Davis in the bubble for that quote unquote fourth championship. If Anthony Davis didn't get busy, we know LeBron doesn't win that one. So there's multiple occasions where LeBron has been saved. And I know now you LeBron fans are going to start talking about, well, what about Jordan? Steve Kerr and John Paxson saved him. Yeah, no, wrong. So that's what we call a false equivalency, where you try to make an analogy and say, this thing is like that thing, except this thing isn't really like that thing. And why do I say that? Because going back to LeBron for a second, when Kyrie Irving hit that shot, if he doesn't hit that shot, LeBron and the Cavs lose that championship. When Ray Allen hit that shot, if Ray Allen doesn't hit that shot, LeBron and the Heat lose that championship. If Anthony Davis doesn't get busy in the bubble, LeBron doesn't win that quote unquote fourth championship. Now, let's go ahead and juxtapose that with Steve Kerr and John Paxson hitting their shots. Now, you can say those shots sealed championships for Michael Jordan. Okay, cool. I got no problem with you saying that. But here's the difference. Those shots were in Game 6. They were in no danger of losing the series if Kerr and Paxson didn't hit those shots. Maybe they don't win those particular games, but then they go on to Game 7 and we know Michael Jordan is going to win that. How do we know that? Because there is no evidence whatsoever, no historical evidence that Michael Jordan could lose in the finals. Why? Because it simply never happened. There is no evidence to say that. So I know that some of you LeBron fans are going to say, well, Jordan could have lost. Well, you can say he could have, but there's no evidence to support that because it's never happened. Plenty of evidence to support LeBron losing in the finals. All right, cool. So there's your false equivalency. So when I say that LeBron got saved multiple times in the finals, let's not go ahead and try that. Well, Jordan got saved too. Yeah, no, that's not it at all. What do we got here, Steve? LeBron needed media plants. Bron needed Miami super team. Bron needed Miami to hit the biggest shot. Bron needed Ray Allen to beat an old Spurs team. Correct. And that same old Spurs team came back and ran them out in the NBA Finals the following season by a record margin. We know this is truth. This is not my opinion. We know this is truth. It's not that serious. What's up, my G? Yes, I'm live. Yes, I'm live. Here we go. Transformer always got to come caping up for Bron. Here we go. What up, Transformer? What teammates knock down shots that doesn't even make sense? He can drop 40, keeps the game relevant, but then he gets saved. Blasphemy. Yes, he got saved because you weren't listening. In those situations I just mentioned, those guys don't hit those shots. LeBron is got another loss on his NBA Finals record. So yes, he got saved. No matter how much you want to protect your boo, and you're going to have to do a lot of protecting tonight because I'm about to bring it to you. Pause. But you'll see. Let's see. My life, your entertainment. What's up, man? People forget how Stephen A. would clown LeBron for being saved and not being a closer, but Stephen A. took the cheese and no longer brings that up anymore, and he definitely didn't during the Olympics. That's true. That's also true. Now, quick note, and Transformer, he can bear witness to this. He and I actually agree that LeBron probably was the right choice for MVP in the Olympics. He was the most consistent player out of all of them, but that's a different argument. All right. Let's see. LeBron could have been the first LeBron. Instead, he was such an entitled, insecure narcissist. He decided he was entitled to be the GOAT. He said he would have been the GOAT of any sport yet. And we know that's absurd, right? We know that is absolutely absurd. So we're not even going to argue that. Real quick, appreciate you in the chat. If you're in the chat, please make sure you go over to the YouTube page, hit that like and subscribe button. Got to get this, got to get these likes up so that YouTube can push the show out into the algorithm, so that more people who watch sports talk on YouTube can get this show. They can come join. They can come join the chat and all of that. Let's see. I say that for any big time player, Kobe, Jordan. Yeah, but Transformer, what you're missing, I don't know if you caught it when I mentioned Jordan, that was a false equivalency, because when Steve Kerr and John Paxson hit their shots, they were in game sixes and they weren't at all in danger of actually losing the finals. In all those cases we mentioned with LeBron, those guys don't hit those shots. He loses the finals, and those are more finals losses on his record. And the other thing I said was, at worst, if Steve Kerr and Paxson don't hit those shots, those series in the NBA Finals go to game 7, which we know Jordan would win. And I know you're pushing back on that right now, but how do we know Jordan would win? Because there's simply no evidence that he could lose in the finals, because it never happened. There is no empirical evidence that you can use to say that Jordan could lose in the finals. It's impossible. All right. Ron Jones, with your thinking, basketball is not a team sport. Here we go. Basketball absolutely is a team sport, but we've seen, maybe you haven't, but we have seen what the true GOAT can do. Anyway, he said that on his podcast, delusional narcissist. Yeah. Let's see. What do we got? Lou, that's a great point. It's a team sport when it benefits LeBron. It's always a moving goalpost. No one debated MJ being the GOAT. The media didn't decide it. The people did. The people know a fraud. Absolutely. All right. So here's the deal. Why am I bringing up Rich Paul saved LeBron? Because this is crazy. Pythagoras. I've seen MJ lose in multiple conference finals. I said the NBA Finals. You weren't listening, bro. I said the NBA Finals. There is no evidence to demonstrate that Michael Jordan could have lost in the NBA Finals, because it never happened. He never even saw a game 7. So again, empirical evidence is going to tell you whether or not something can take place. And to this point, we have no evidence demonstrating that Michael Jordan could lose in the finals, and we never will, because it's all over. All right. I have empirical evidence he can lose in a series. You're not listening to me, are you, Pythagoras? But that's cool. I know you want to move the goalposts. I know what side you're on. I can see it. All right. So let's see. Here we go. All right. So here's the deal. Why did I bring up this whole Rich Paul save LeBron thing, right? We get on LeBron all the time for joining super teams and going here and going there, right? And if we remember last season, there were rumors that around the trade deadline that Golden State was interested in LeBron. And Rich Paul kind of smacked that down and said, nah, that wasn't the case, blah, 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 right? And if you were around this show at that time, I was always saying, like, why would LeBron or Steph be remotely interested in that, right? If you're LeBron, why would you go to Steph's team? If you're Steph, why would you want LeBron, your biggest rival, to come to your team? Like, that's going to upset the chemistry, upset the balance. We know what LeBron does. He's a team wrecker. We know that. No matter how you feel about LeBron, the fact is he is a team wrecker. We see that. So why would you want this dude to come to your team? You already have one team wrecker on your team. That's Draymond Green. So you want LeBron there too? That's going to cause nothing but problems. So anyway, that kind of got pushed down and blah, blah, blah. Let's see. What do we got? Lou says, his behavior hurts his reputation, making the NBA the WWE. It's why the NBA is the only league losing fans. Even the WNBA is growing because of CC and Angel Reese. So those are great points, Lou. The only thing I'll push back on in terms of that is, yes, the NBA is losing fans. The NBA is losing viewership. We know that. But they really don't care. And I used to argue with my brother about this, but I stopped because at the end of the day, the NBA just signed a $76 billion media rights deal. So I don't think they care. They can lose fans, they can lose whatever, but people are still paying more money than ever for the media rights to cover and broadcast these games. You know what I'm saying? All right. So, yeah. So back to LeBron and the possibility of Golden State. I was like, why would you want that if you're Steph? You already dealt with it with KD, right? KD went there, and now you have people saying, well, KD was a better player, and he's the reason you won. And if KD never went there, Steph would only have one title, blah, 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 even though he had one before and he's got one after. So there's kind of a pushback on that. But at the end of the day, what happens is if you're Steph, if I'm Steph, I should say, there's no way I want LeBron on my team, right? I just don't. I want nothing to do with that. But here's the crazy part, right? It completely disregards global viewership. It's a flawed metric. It could be Pythagoras, but at the end of the day, because you're right, actually, because Adam Silver said that 70% of TV viewership for the NBA comes from overseas. It's international. But like you said, you can't count that. But anyway, here's the deal, right? What I was saying. Yeah, so with the Steph piece, I don't want him on my team, and that whole thing happened. But this is what got interesting to me. I was listening to Shannon Sharp and Ocho Cinco on Nightcap. I think it was last night's episode, and they dropped something that kind of shocked me, and we'll come back and we'll talk about that afterwards.
Rich Paul reportedly quashed talks of LeBron trade to the Warriors. This story is making its rounds today. According to Mark Stein, it was Paul who put the kibosh on a tentative trade discussion between the Lakers and the Golden State Warriors surrounding LeBron last season. Mm-hmm. It is believed that the Lakers would have reluctantly entertained a trade conversation with the Warriors before February trade deadline if LeBron wanted them to seriously engage Golden State on a potential deal. Yet league sources say that the reported talks between the teams at the time never got far, a large part because LeBron's agent, Rich Paul, was adamantly opposed to the idea of LeBron swapping Southern California to Northern California. Sources say Rich Paul implored both teams to scrap the concept, largely because he wanted to insulate LeBron from the potential backlash over switching teams for the fourth time in his career.
Now, you heard that, right? Rich Paul Rich Paul saved LeBron from himself. The fact that LeBron was even considering that is pathetic. I've said it time and time again. I'm not going to call him a name. That would be unprofessional as a trained journalist. But the behavior of not wanting to compete and always looking to join up with somebody else, especially your biggest rival during the second part of your career, that behavior is cowardly. I'm not going to call him a coward. I'm going to say he would have been exhibiting cowardly behavior. And realistically, had Steph accepted that, he also would have been exhibiting cowardly behavior. So Rich Paul, he knew how that was going to look, and he knew how that was going to go if that had happened. So he had to save LeBron from himself. So I'm sitting back and I'm thinking, LeBron, like, have you no shame? Have you no shame? This is the same dude that's going to win a championship in the bubble and say, we want our damn respect, and I want my damn respect too. Well, this is why you don't get it, because you make moves like this. This is why you don't get it. Again, yes, it's a different era. Yes, things are different. Here you go, Transformer. I understand this is not the 90s, but guess what? Here's the difference. When you're talking about being the GOAT and you're getting measured up against all these other dudes from these other eras, right? that stuff starts to play a role. It gets considered in the argument. So it's not a function of this isn't the 90s, these dudes don't give a damn. It's a function of when you have to measure up against the other guys, you have to be able to do that. And the fact is, what's one of the things I always talk about? You know this, Transformer. LeBron didn't get it out of the mud like the other guys did. When it got hard, he cut and he ran and he built up a super team and then he won with that, right? And when that started getting hard, right? When that started getting hard, then he ran out of Miami and then he goes to Cleveland, builds another super team where he goes to 4 championships. He wins one with the stimulus package from the league. And so he gets that. Then when that starts getting hard, he runs to LA. And then he uses everything possible to trade away all of the Lakers' young resources, right? This guy's the leader. This guy's the guy who can build up and lead any team and do this and that, right? But he trades away all their young resources to bring Anthony Davis there. Now, it paid off. They end up winning a championship. But the future, really? Oh, come on, Mark. No, that's not true. Would have accelerated the Laker rebuild, which from a strategy standpoint, no. Because all those guys ended up being better when they left and went other places. But I digress. We're not going to talk about that. We can't measure up against them. We said that last show. No, you can't measure up against them because the guys from this generation aren't good enough. That's why they can't measure up. But the fact is also that you're taking the easy route, right? You've heard me say this. You heard John Stockton say it. You didn't climb the mountain. You took a helicopter to the top. Really, Mark? Here you go again, huh? Here you go.
You play to win the game.
That's for you, Mark. But no, it's not just that, right? Of course you play to win the game, but that's like saying, I play to win the game, but if I cheat, it's okay. Now, I'm not saying stacking super teams is cheating because they didn't do anything technically against the rules. But it's amazing to me how there are so many people who played at a high level, people who analyze the game, people who've been around, who don't freaking understand or respect competition, right? At the end of the day, that's part of the reason that people look at Jordan the way they look at Jordan and why he's so revered and why we see him the way we do in terms of what he did because of how let's look at the example, right? We saw what the Pistons, the Detroit Pistons did to this dude year after year, right? We saw first he had to deal with the Celtics, and when he couldn't deal with the Celtics got knocked off by the Pistons. Then they kept running into the Pistons, right? And realistically, if you go back and you look at the basketball back then, the Cleveland Cavaliers were supposed to be the next team up. They were built and they were ready and they were primed to go take on the Pistons. But Michael Jordan was so mercurial and he was so great that he catapulted Chicago past Cleveland, right? Because Cleveland was the team that was built out and was supposed to be next up. But now the one that happened, the Bulls end up jumping over Cleveland because of Michael Jordan, and they keep running into the Pistons. And as we know, year after year, they're getting knocked out by the Pistons, but they're getting closer and closer each time. Michael Jordan, he didn't cut and run. He got stronger. He got back in the gym. He continued to work. He got better and better and better. And then he passed those guys and he went on to start winning. And once he started winning, he closed the door on everyone else, right? So yeah, let's see. Steph is the only one in that conversation. These other dudes are kids in the game still. Nice try though. Wait, I'm not following. I must have missed it. Transformer, go ahead, put it in the chat what you mean by that. I missed it. Here we go. Seriously? Really? Okay, Transformer, let's keep this plain and simple. Is LeBron James better than Michael Jordan? That's an easy one. Not even you can argue that. But anyway, also longevity without winning is just a participation trophy. LeBron only led the league in scoring once, assists once. That's crazy. Just played a long time and was on super teams. Absolutely, Lou. And the other thing is, if you notice, right, if you watch basketball, NBA basketball, and you notice what you see is LeBron very carefully stacking the numbers. Like he knows exactly what he's doing. Like even in a blowout, he won't leave the game until he gets those double figures points so he can keep that streak going. He knows what he's doing because he knows he'll never actually be good enough to surpass MJ. So he's playing all the, he's doing all the other things, right? He's getting the stats and he's doing everything he can to try and stack the argument. But at the end of the day, people who know basketball and people who saw MJ understand that he is not and never will be that guy. But that's just it. No, it's just that Mark says you don't play for S and giggles. No, you don't. You do play to win. But again, competition matters. Why would LeBron lead the league in scoring if he ain't taking the most shots in the league? MJ has 10 scoring titles, led the league in shots 9 of those times. But see, here's the thing, though. People always talk about Pythagoras, how Michael Jordan took a lot of shots. And yes, he took a lot of shots. But are we going to say he was inefficient? Until the Washington years, Michael Jordan was like 51% from the field for his career. So he was taking a lot of shots, but he was not inefficient. He was extremely efficient in doing so, right? So we gotta do that. And Pythagoras, you're wrong. LeBron, I believe, led the league in missed shots. I think he's got the most missed shots of all time, or in his first game this season, he'll break that. So it's either that. Oh, I got you, Transformer. So it's either that he's going to break it in his first game this season, or he's already broken it. So there's that. My life. Got you, bro. So yeah, love from Portugal. Flurry, what's up, man? Portugal. I think you're the first person to ever get on the show from Portugal. So I appreciate that. Everybody who's in the chat, make sure you hit that like and subscribe. Like and subscribe, and make sure you share the show. Need that. But yeah, so where were we? We were talking about LeBron. So Rich Paul saved LeBron from himself by squashing that deal. And I think this is the first time I'm going to say I like the move Rich Paul made, right? Because normally I'm not a Rich Paul guy, because every time he's got an interview, he's on carrying LeBron's water and telling whoever's interviewing him why LeBron is the greatest player of all time and all this foolishness, and why he's better than Jordan and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, come on, man. At the end of the day, why can't, and I keep saying it, why can't LeBron's game just stand on its own? Why does he have to continually go on this propaganda tour and push the narrative? Why does he have to have his people reach out to people in the NBA media when they say things about LeBron that they don't like or they don't find flattering? Why do they have to try and influence people who have votes for All NBA or All Stars or MVP and etc.? We know this stuff has happened because these guys have come out and said it. They've come out and said it. So why are they doing that? So Rich Paul, he saves LeBron from making the mistake of a lifetime, right? Now, I know for you LeBron fans, you would see nothing wrong with it if he went to Golden State and joined up with Steph Curry and tried to win another one. But why would you be cool with that? Why? Like, again, I don't understand why competition doesn't matter anymore. And again, it would be one thing if you were just measuring LeBron against this era, but so many people want to put LeBron unfairly, I might add, into the GOAT discussion where he doesn't belong. And so when that happens, if you're in the GOAT discussion, you start getting measured against other guys. So if you have it easier than they had it, how can you be in that discussion? It's pretty darn simple. I just don't get it. Absolutely. My life, your entertainment. There you go. LeBron is the only NBA player to ever use the media to paint his legacy through false narratives and manipulation. He literally has media plants. Like, we've never seen this before. Nick Wright, Shannon Sharp. I thought that Kendrick Perkins was getting his act together, but he seems to be back on the payroll. It's crazy how these dudes do it. It's crazy. Money ruined competition, unfortunately. Did money ruin competition? I don't think so. Because if you look at, I'll use the NFL for example, they get plenty of money, not NBA money, but they get a lot of money comparatively to previous iterations of the NFL, but they still go out there and compete. So I don't know if we can use that as an excuse for LeBron. Nino, what's good, my man? Good to see you in here. Good to see you. Nino, do you think Bron going to the Warriors would make them the favorites? I don't even think that, to be honest. I don't, because we've seen that even though LeBron can still put up numbers for himself, those numbers don't effectively affect winning anymore. So I don't think that they become the favorite if he goes to the Warriors. Now, the good thing is Steph is a guy who doesn't really need the ball, so that's not going to really hurt them. But in that situation, Draymond, he's been playing that point forward role for years. So what does LeBron do if Draymond has the ball? LeBron can't play off the ball. We know this, right? We know this. So, like, I don't even know how it would be a fit. That's the other problem. But what? LeBron doesn't care if it's a fit. All he cares about is this an opportunity for me to play with other, Hall of Fame talent to try and eke out another chip before I go? So it's crazy. And then here's the other question, right? Here's another question. If he had done this, if he had gotten away with this, then what happens with the Bronny piece, right? Do we think that he would have been able to manipulate Golden State into drafting Bronny? Or does Bronny go back to college? Like, what happens? I don't know. That's something else we got to think about, right? Lou says, I miss when the NBA was about competition. It feels as toxic as politics. And honestly, LeBron acts like a dictator. He does. Enes Kanter said it a few weeks ago. Yeah, I remember when Enes Kanter said that. And it really was fair that LeBron is like the dictator of the NBA because he does run things and control things. And we see it. We've seen it for a lot of years now. But the crazy thing is everybody knows this. But when people say it, they're haters or they wake up hating on another black man. But then when they say it, he has to send out his team to try and quiet them. Those are the type of moves dictators make, right? Try to keep people from talking and telling the truth. So it is kind of crazy. Let's see. Steve says this all comes down to MJ's legacy versus LeBron's manufactured career. And we're going to talk about that more in the second topic. But yeah, it's crazy. Let's see. Transformer says MJ led the league in field goals missed 7 times. Right. But again, now those 7 times he led the league in field goals missed, Transformer, go and look at his field goal percentage. Right. So, yeah, he took a lot of shots. He missed shots, but it's not like he was shooting 42% from the field. So that's what we got to look at. We got to stop pushing these narratives to try and prop up LeBron, because, again, I'm going to ask the simple question. Why can't LeBron's work stand on its own? Somebody tell me, why can't LeBron's work stand on its own? If he was so clearly better than Michael Jordan, we wouldn't need to do all this. We would not need to take shots at Jordan in order to make LeBron look better. It's that simple. And again, when you grease the skids and make the path to winning easier, we're going to look at you a different way. Yes, you have championships like Mike has, but those championships aren't the same. It's not built the same. It's that simple. Sneed, what's up, my man? Good to see you in here. Bron with the only one Hall of Famer isn't enough. True indeed. Bron probably needs 3 Hall of Fame teammates at this point. Yeah, at this point, yes, because he's still a physical marvel. And I wouldn't be shocked if he missed 30 games coming up this year. I wouldn't be shocked at all. And then you're going to hear, well, he's 39 years old, he's 40 years old, and he played in the Olympics. He didn't have rest over the summer, blah, blah, blah. But it's the same thing. On one hand, it's, we've never seen a 39 and 40-year-old do the type of things LeBron is doing, but he's 39 and 40 years old. What do you expect? I guess 2 things can be true, right? So it is what it is. Transformer laughs at Enes Kanter quotes. I don't understand what's funny about that. What he said was true. If he was lying, it would be funny, but what he said was true. LeBron stacks will always be a factor in games because of his physical dominance. Where he fails and needs bailout is in winning time where Jordan and Kobe flourished. Absolutely. Let's see. All right. So, yeah, these are kind of my thoughts on the Rich Paul thing. I think that he was lucky, really lucky that Rich Paul saved him from himself, because I can't imagine how history would view LeBron and how most basketball fans, sensible basketball fans, not LeBron fans, but basketball fans would have viewed him had he made that move and gone to Golden State. I think that would have been absolutely terrible. And I'm glad that Rich Paul stopped it. Real quick, if you're in the chat, I see 24 people in the chat. Appreciate all y'all for being here. Make sure you go ahead and click that like button on YouTube. Please hit that like. We really need it. It helps the show get out. It helps us hit the YouTube algorithm so more people can see it. Lou says we got to talk about the open secret of. I am not going to talk about that because we have no evidence and I got no money to get sued for slander. So we're not going to do that. I'm sure people can think based on what LeBron has been able to do at a high level physically throughout such a long career, just still showing a level of explosiveness and durability that we've never seen from a player at his age. And that's a fact. No question about it. But that said, we're not going to accuse anybody of using anything on this channel because we have no evidence, and that's just it. All right, Pythagoras says 20 times All-NBA. He's simply the great all-around player we've seen. MJP tire, no doubt. So here's the problem. Pythagoras, let me put this up there. How do we, and we're digressing a little bit, but that's cool. We're going to do a couple more of these chats, and then we're going to open up the phone lines. But how is he the greatest all-around player we've seen? Let me ask you that. How is he that? When he has spent so much of his career loafing on the other side of the ball. How is it that today's basketball fan somehow seems to forget that there are 2 sides of the ball? Now, am I saying he never played defense? No, but he's never been a lockdown defender. He's never truly been he played passing lanes a lot, but when was the last time that we saw him really lock in and defend a guy, like defend his matchup for the duration or the most of a game, right? The last time I saw that was 2010 against Paul Pierce, right? And Paul Pierce was giving it to him. Pause. Paul Pierce was working him out. Pause. So that's a situation where that's the last time I saw LeBron really lock in for any extended amount of time on his position or on another elite offensive player. We don't see that. So we got to stop acting when we say he's the greatest all-around player. No, he's not, because he doesn't play both sides of the ball. I will tell you this. You're going to think I'm crazy. Hakeem Olajuwon is a better all-around player than LeBron James. He retired top 10 in 4 major statistical categories, only player to ever do that. And he was an elite, one of the best all-time defenders. We can't say that about LeBron. But guess what? In 2024, we only care about one side of the ball. So that's the thing. We got to stop this. LeBron is the greatest all-around player. We got to stop that. LeBron was not a better defender than Michael Jordan. Now, he's physically bigger, so that technically allows him to defend more positions. But is he locking up anybody? No, not really. Exactly, Steve. MJ is easily the better defender. That's correct. Let's see. He's easily the better defender. LeBron is not a lockdown guy like MJ. Correct. So this is what I can't understand. LaFleury says, I got here late. Did anything happen about LeBron smearing Jordan? No, what happened, Fleury? I was actually talking about how last season LeBron was seriously considering going to Golden State at the trade deadline to play with Steph Curry. And Rich Paul was actually the one who put a stop to that deal because he was worried about how people would perceive it. And that's probably the smartest move Rich Paul ever made, because he knows probably not even LeBron could have come back from that one. Pythagoras says that LeBron can defend more positions also. Well, LeBron is 6'9", 260, right? So I get that. So that's kind of a misnomer. But, like, is he really getting in the crouch and defending point guards like Jordan did? No. How often do we see him really defending shooting guards? We don't. How often do we really see him defending elite small forwards, wings? We don't. Like, LeBron plays the passing lanes a lot. LeBron was aggressive, and then they're going to say, well, LeBron was tasked to do so much on offense that he wasn't able to defend too. But that's not true, because Jordan did just as much on offense, right? He 10-time scoring leader, dominant offensive player, one of the most dominant offensive, if not the most dominant offensive player we've ever seen, but he still played dominant defense. So we got to stop that. Pythagoras says, MJ defense is highly overrated. I've seen real average dudes break his ankles. So let's stop. I think I know exactly to what you're referring. We got these fake videos, not fake videos. We got these videos out here with very short clips of him getting caught, obviously by Allen Iverson, by Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, and by Rod Strickland. So let's take a look at that real quick, and then I promise we'll open up the phone lines, right? So here's the deal. All those guys, Allen Iverson was 5'11". Isaiah Thomas was 6 feet. Rod Strick, I think, was 6'2", and Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf was like 6'1", 6'2", right? How tall was Michael Jordan? We all know Michael Jordan was 6'6", right? There's this thing called physics. In every sport, we hear it. Low man wins, right? So at 6'6", the physics dictate that the shorter guy who is lower to the ground is going to have a better opportunity, especially on lateral movement, to deal with a defender who is 6'6", right? Physics work. We got to stop pushing false narratives. We got to stop it. So to say MJ's defense highly overrated, I've seen real average dudes take his ankles. No, not really. You've seen him get caught a couple times, yes, because, you know, those point guards back then was crazy, super shifty. But yeah, let's stop acting like Michael was getting cooked by small dudes. Like, that's absurd. Because even the one where Allen Iverson hit the famous crossover and then hit the shot one, Allen Iverson, go back and look at that clip. He carried, but that's a different thing. And then even after he hit Michael Jordan with the crossover, Michael Jordan almost got back and recovered and blocked that shot. It just got over Mike's fingertips. So let's not act like, oh, he hit him so bad he made him fall, and then nah, it's absurd. But anyway, clearly you don't know how physics work. All right. Nino says Bron is definitely the best all-around player in his prime. No. Maybe in his era, but definitely not ever. Man down, what's good? Man down sports, my guy. Appreciate you being here. Yes, please, y'all hit the like button. I appreciate it. All right, so let's do this. So my whole thing here was that Rich Paul save LeBron from himself by squashing that deal. And I think that is the best move Rich Paul ever made. He's made a lot of moves I don't agree with, but this one I thought was ingenious because maybe not even LeBron could have recovered from that. So let's go ahead at this time. Oh, man, I didn't even have the banner going. The phone number is 904-219-8264. 904-219-8264. Yeah, go ahead and call in and yeah, let's get it. Let's see. While we're waiting to see if we get any calls, let's go through some more of these chats. The Flurry says, hey man, your B-ball knowledge seems pretty solid. I just usually watch all MJ Kobe highlights for fun, so the technical side escapes me. Like and subscribe though. Do the same, fellas. Cool video. Hey, I appreciate you, Flurry. Appreciate you, man. What else we got here? Jordan wasn't guarding power forwards and centers. Yeah, because back then power forwards and centers weren't like 6'8", 6'9", and 210 pounds. The dudes was like real big guys. So at 6'6" shooting guard, why would Michael Jordan be guarding power forwards and centers? That doesn't make any sense. Braun would have been dust from those guys too. That's some stupid. Yep, absolutely. Steve says, Bruce, trying to explain physics to Brown fans is pointless. Their blinders can't even see through the man's paid narrative. You know, it's so funny, Steve, that you say paid narrative, because the way so many of these LeBron fans act, I swear that Clutch sends $50 checks out every week. I really do. And if that's the case, like, how do I get on it? I wouldn't mind a free $50 every week. But if that means I got to like come on here and say things like my king as a grown man, yeah, I'll skip the $50. LeBron, the type of dude that shut down D Rose in the fourth back in 2011. Okay, Pythagoras. Yeah, let's go with that, right? So that's one that I love. People always talk, oh, he shut down MVP D Rose. Okay. So D Rose played first three quarters, right? We know he's an aggressive, physically gifted scorer and player, right? Cool. And so LeBron, who supposedly shut down D Rose, avoided the guy all through the game, and then he gets on him for selected stretches of the fourth quarter when D Rose is already, you know, his fuel is running low, but fine, whatever. It's an NBA game. You're supposed to be in condition. So then you get on him for selected stretches in the fourth quarter, make some shots tough on him, and you shut him down. See what I talk about with false narratives? If he shut him down, where was he for the whole game? Where was he saying, this is my assignment, I got it? Like, Gary Payton, the glove, made it hell on Michael Jordan, games 4, 5, and 6 of the 96 NBA Finals. Gary Payton was 6'3", right? He was 6'3", but he defended Jordan. And if you go back and look, Michael Jordan had very tough shooting nights against the glove. And Gary Payton says, this is my assignment. I want to defend this guy, right? Not this, oh, I'm going to wait till select stretches during the fourth quarter and defend him. This is what I don't understand. We got to stop this. We got to stop this. Let's see what we got. So, yeah, Mark says, Bud got over his fingertips. There is no almost. You sound like my dad, man. Man. He always used to say almost doesn't count. All right. Let's see. Cleveland was not a super team, Bruce. That team did not have a top 75 player. Now we're doing semantics, right? Because Kyrie Irving is one of the best offensive players in the league. All right, we got a call. Let's go ahead and take this. Format Podcast. Nino, what's good, my man?
What's going on? Can you hear me good?
Yeah, I can hear you. I knew I was going to get a call from you. I was waiting for that. What you got, man?
All I want to say is, can we please stop the competition narrative? Even with Bron Jordan in the Big Three, it was still competition. You still had the Dallas Mavericks. You still had the Spurs. You still had the Boston Celtics. You still had competition. So people act like it was no. They don't even go to the Warriors when the Warriors did their thing. Then you had before Kevin Durant went over there, you had the Thunder Center. It was still competition in the league. We gotta stop this. There's no competition. Can we please protect the league?
Well, I'm talking about in the East, the competition became a lot less. Now, if you're talking about in that first year in the East, I think the Pacers were really good, or the Pacers were pretty good, and the Bulls were really good with Coach Tibbs. I think the Bulls had the number 1 seed, and obviously the Celtics were just about done, right? Because remember, that Celtics team came together 07, 08. And by then, that was 2011, right? And those guys were already old at that point. So now they're 4 years into it, right? So that team wasn't the same team, even though they were still good, just because, just the experience and the general greatness, right? But that team wasn't as good. Toronto was now knocked out because Chris Bosh. And then, of course, Miami was souped up Bosh and D-Wade. So, like, I'm not going to say there was no competition, but if we're not going to act like that competition was shifted, like, come on. Like,
we don't go on the conference call, though. We go on finals. We don't talk about MJ.
Okay.
Pistons and the Boston Celtics. We go straight to the finals.
We do. I feel that. But what I will say, though, is for Michael Jordan and the Bulls, it was tougher for them getting out in the East than it was in invariably whoever they played against in the finals. Like, I think that's a lot of times. Yeah, that's a lot of times why we automatically jump to the finals versus, the rest of the playoff run.
I agree with that. Now, at the same time, I feel like we nitpicking. I just don't like the LeBron disrespect of he's not in the conversation. We gotta be for real. But if you go with Jordan, real basketball fans can't deny MJ.
Mm-hmm.
I say if you want to say MJ the GOAT, I say it's based on he done it. He the blueprint. Without him, like I always say, without MJ, there's no Kobe, no Bron, no T-Mac, no Vince Carter. So if you want to say that, I got no, but I believe in evolution. I believe if them guys watched MJ, they knew what to work on. Now, it's gonna be a player that comes that put everything together. MJ had the work ethic and the killer will, but he smoked and drank and all that party. Bron, they said he took care of his body a little more than MJ.
Yeah.
And he put the work. Kobe didn't put the work. It's gonna be a player that comes, and I want us to embrace it. It's gonna be a player that comes to put all this together. Now, could it be Wendy? It could be.
So the only thing I'll say, Nino, I disagree. I don't think that there is going to be a player that comes and can put it all together, because the era that we live in doesn't create those type of people anymore. Whether it's in sports, whether it's in regular life or whatever, right? For instance, do you think that we are as tough men as our grandfathers were? You know what I'm saying? And were they as tough men as their grandfathers were? See what I'm saying?
I gotta say yes, but I gotta say no too. I mean, I feel like we could be. I feel like the evolution. We work smarter now. But so I gotta say no now, because I seen them. I gotta say no. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I definitely gotta say no.
Yeah, and it's not.
We don't gotta do the stuff they had to do.
Right. And so I think that, what is it? Tough times make tough men. I think that's the expression, right? And so being that life itself is much easier now. The money is so much bigger now. I think there's less love of the game from players now. And I think there's less drive to truly be as great. Like Transformer always says, these guys don't care as much nearly about the competition anymore. And I think all of those things go into my disagreement that you're saying eventually we're going to see a guy that's going to come back and put it all together.
I think you got guys like Anthony O. It's guys that care. I mean, but you still got to have the juice too. You got guys that care, but you still got to have the juice. It's guys that want to be Bron, Kobe, and MJ. They just didn't have the juice.
I think I don't know. I think it's different, man. But I respect your opinion, but I'm gonna disagree with you on this one, though.
You see Wendy out there crying, so he wants to beat.
Yeah. No, I get it. Well, I think obviously a big part of that was he's playing in front of his home crowd literally on his home floor. So all of that plays a role as well. And I'm not saying that none of these guys care. I'm just saying it's different now, and you're not going to see the psychomaniacal competitors like your Jordans and your Kobes, your Isaiahs and your Birds and your Magic. Like, it's just different now. That's all. Does that mean that some of these dudes aren't going to care? Nah, it just means it's different. But you got anything else for me, bro?
No, I'll just say I gotta agree with you, because he was coming up the project, so now they're getting 1,000 in eighth grade. So I agree with you.
Right.
Man. Appreciate the sir.
Right. All right, man. I'm gonna go ahead and take this, man, and I will talk to you next time. Appreciate it, bro. Format Podcast.
Bruce, what up? It's Sneed, bro.
Sneed, what's good, man? Every time you call from a different number. I thought I had you saved, man.
Oh, I'm sorry, bro. I got a work line. I got a line that I'm testing, and then I got like my personal line. So I might be calling from all these, man.
It's all good. What you got, Sneed? Good to hear from you.
So, hey, man, it's good to be here, and thanks for taking the call.
Of course.
You brought up an interesting point. Hakeem is interesting because Hakeem was super elite defensively. Like you can make an argument, one of the best defenders to ever play.
Yeah, definitely.
Just positioning, blocking shots, rim protection.
And he could switch to pick and roll. He could get out on the perimeter and still get back and
yeah. So that's it's elite. It's elite status. There was never a single year, a single stretch of LeBron's career where he ever approached that.
No.
And I mean, I'm not. It's Hakeem was special when it came to that sort of thing. So I'm not holding Bron to that standard.
Right.
I think Bron played good defense for 10 years. I think at the end of the first go in Cleveland, he became very good defensively. Good. I think in the Miami years, he was physically imposing. He was a good defender. I think the second stint in Cleveland, he was still a good defender at the beginning. And then he went into what we kind of see from LeBron now, which is if he has to play defense, it's a situation, it's a playoff game, it's the end of a game, you'll see the defense come out, but it's situational. He's not sustaining a defensive intensity for any extended amount of time. Those days are long gone. They've been long gone.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So he never reached a point of defense where you say he was elite. He was never elite defensively. He was good defensively for half his career. He was good.
That's true.
There was one year I think he was in the running for Defender of the Year. I didn't see it, but they say he was, so I'll give him credit for that year, right, as being very, very good or elite. But that's not enough to say he was elite defensively. You got guys winning all NBA defensive first team for more than 10 years. That's elite. So you're talking about guys like MJ and Kobe who did it for so many years, all NBA defensive,
correct,
first team, so many consecutive years, right? So that I think is where he would have to have been if we were going to talk about his defense. And his best defensive moments were help defense. Actually.
Correct.
So I think back to the finals when he made the block on Iguodala, J.R. Smith slowed him down. It allowed LeBron to get the block. That was help defense. When I look at his block on Thiago Splitter, for the Miami Heat, that was help defense. So he's a good help defender. On the ball, he gets burned a lot. He's a bigger dude. You're talking about the physics. Bro, LeBron is flat-footed. He's powerful when he gets top-end speed and he gets going in the open court. He's fast. But he's not the shifty, quick point guard type of build. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no doubt. Sneed, let me stop you real quick because I'm seeing stuff in the chat as you're talking. I appreciate that. Hang with me. Pythagoras 314 says LeBron's block in the finals was the most iconic block of all time. Stop it. You've been made to think that. But it's not. You want to know what's the greatest block in finals history? 1994 Game 6, Hakeem Olajuwon blocks John Starks, who has, I think, 27 points at that point. He blocked him and literally saved the championship at the end of Game 6 on that blocked shot. So listen, I know what you've been told. I know what generation you came up in, but go do your homework, young fella. I know you're a young dude just by saying that. The greatest block of all time and in NBA Finals is Hakeem at the end of Game 6 on John Starks because he came from the wing all the way to – he came from the top all the way to the wing to block John Starks on that three.
Actually, the most impressive block I ever seen was Wilt Chamberlain closing the gap on a guy who was like 15 feet away from him.
I saw that one too.
Shot and then saving the ball and keeping it in play. That was one of the most incredible. And by the way, I mean, LeBron's career is built on athleticism, right? Just sheer freak of nature. But Wilt was a better athlete.
Oh, no question. And some people are going to argue that, but there's not a question.
But a lot of people are going to just poo-poo it because Wilt's from the 60s.
Yep.
You know, apparently they didn't start making athletes until 2003.
Well,
you know,
even Isaiah Thomas, who hates Michael
unfortunate.
Jordan and has said LeBron James is probably the best all-around player ever, said that he doesn't believe that LeBron would be the best athlete in the 70s or 80s. So, you know, whatever.
I also take a little bit of take to task, you know, LeBron's ability to shoot the ball consistently.
Well,
I always thought his jumper was inconsistent.
Oh yeah,
I thought it got better for a nice little stretch.
Mm-hmm.
I think his post game could have been better
a long time ago.
That there were some years in Miami where it was starting to show, and then he kind of went away from it, became a fadeaway shooter again, and started, you know, taking all these pull-up threes. I don't know if that's preservation or whatever, but I mean, he left a lot out there that he could have improved and been better at.
Yeah, I agree.
He's still one of my favorite players of all time. I don't like the narratives in the media. I don't like that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But he obviously is an incredible talent. I wish he would clean up the game in the fourth quarter. I wish he would stop turning over the ball late games. You know, I'm critical of him, but I think I think he is an incredible player. He's definitely one of the best players of all time. But I think people just don't view him objectively. I think some people critique him very harshly and some people don't critique him enough. So that's unfortunate. You got, you know, some people who are so venomous towards him, they don't see the good in him. And I think some people are just so enamored by him and they fight and defend him to the point where they can't objectively evaluate his game.
That's fair. That's fair. Osmosis Jones says, hold on, Sneed. The LeBron block was more impressive, saved 2 points. LeBron's block saved 2 points, Osmosis. Hakeem's block saved a championship. That's what you're missing. He saved
if you go back
a
and
championship.
Watch those blocks,
yeah.
Andre Iguodala couldn't even dunk the ball. You know, he was gathering because J.R. Smith made him kind of
he made him slow up when he cut over in front of him. Yeah,
I mean, it was a great setup. I mean, you have to hustle to make the play. Props to LeBron.
Absolutely.
But I mean, I don't know, man. I think people are overdoing it. It's just too much, man. But the biggest thing about that finals was Kyrie's three, anyways. Let's be honest.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I talked about that before you got on. The biggest shot
in NBA history is probably that shot, in my opinion.
I actually think it's Ray Allen's three, actually.
Yeah, it's up there for
I think
sure.
it's that one.
I mean, so one of those two shots I think are huge and bigger than the block, in my opinion, both of them.
I agree.
You're the best, Bruce. Thank you, man.
All right, Sneed. I appreciate the call as always, man. Thank you. All right. Anybody else want to call in? Give your thoughts on Rich Paul saving LeBron. Let's try that specifically. I'd love to hear some thoughts on Rich Paul keeping LeBron from making that move and basically squashing that possible deal on the Lakers and Warriors side because he knew how that would be perceived by history and by people now. So yeah, I'd love to hear somebody call in and give your thoughts on that. In the meantime, let's look at some of these chats. To sprint full court and no, we poo-poo it. It's not about poo-pooing it, Transformer. It's, yes, he sprinted full court, but do you think he gets there again if J.R. Smith isn't there to slow Iguodala up? Yes, it was a great block, yes. But like Osmosis said, it saved 2 points, whereas Dream's block literally saved the championship. Because, no, we don't know for sure that John Starks makes that shot, but I think he had hit 6 threes in that game already. So he was pretty hot. You weren't going to let him get an open look at that. That's why Dream knew that he had to go get that, and he did. Steve says Kyrie shot his ability to torch Steph and outperform him was the key to that championship. That is true. That's absolutely true. Let's see. All right, what we got? The Format Podcast.
What's up, Bruce, man?
What's going on? Who's this?
No, but it is my life, man.
It's my life. What's good, bro? How you doing?
I'm good, man.
All right, what you got? Yes, sir.
How everybody's saying that LeBron is the best all-around player when you have Giannis that's made all NBA defense and was snubbed out of 2 of them. And you got Kawhi Leonard that's been all NBA defense. And both of them made all NBA first team.
So sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, so I mean, as far as I know, to a certain extent, Clay never made. He only made all defense one time, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, man, as far as just like all around players, those are like the only 2.5 all around players we've seen throughout this generation that play both sides of the ball and dominate.
So I hear you on that, and I agree to some extent, right? This may surprise some people. I don't think either of them is a better all-around player than LeBron. And so, yes, they are almost as good offensively, better defensively. But one, obviously, Kawhi, you can't count on him. He's always hurt. And I think these guys got like 1 or 2 career triple-doubles. Not saying that triple-doubles are the end-all, be-all, but triple-doubles, I think, kind of, in a lot of cases, now you can kind of fudge how you play in order to get triple-doubles. We saw Russell Westbrook do that when he was in OKC especially. And Carmelo Anthony and Steven Adams have both admitted that, they would box out and clear out so that he could get those rebounds for the triple-doubles and all that. But I say it to say Kawhi Leonard is not nearly the passer LeBron is. Now, he's big and strong. He can rebound with him. He can score with him because he has a better scoring package, pause. So we know that, but he's not nearly the distributor that LeBron is, even though he's a better man on defender. So I think LeBron's ability to distribute the basketball is what separates him and what makes people say that he's a better all-around player. But I do agree with you that Giannis and Kawhi are clearly the better defenders. But Giannis's offensive game, as much as he scores a lot of points, is very, very limited, right? Even more so than LeBron. And LeBron does not have the best offensive game at all. So I think that's my answer to your question.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. So as far as with the equation, I took the distribution part out of it.
Okay.
And I took that out of it.
I don't think you can, though.
No, I know, but at the same time, as far as with what you're saying, I mean, you're taking a defensive part out of it with LeBron too, right? Because both of them have better defensive stats and made defensive defensive NBA.
And they're just flat out better defenders when you watch them play.
Right, along with the opposite side of the ball. So I mean, as far as with their positions aren't made for them to bring the ball down court to distribute. As far as Kawhi and Giannis is, because they both can swing to the power forward, small forward. True enough, just like LeBron. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, LeBron is a big guard too.
Yeah,
either one of those guys are.
Yeah,
so that's
absolutely.
That's kind of why I was like, I weeded that part out as far as the assist and all that, or whatever. But I definitely get what you're saying as far as that category is concerned.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like I said, I mean, you could get on the upside on the defensive end versus LeBron.
Say that last part again. I'm sorry.
And I was saying, at the same time, you can get them the defensive upside above LeBron.
You absolutely can. You absolutely can. I'm with you.
Versus them making assists during the game.
That's a good point. I think it's just the fact that in how we evaluate, unfortunately, the modern game of basketball is so much slanted towards offense that it almost weighs more than defense, right? So the fact that LeBron is able to score, he's obviously the number 1 scorer in basketball history. And then the fact that he's, I think, number 4th all time in assists. I mean, so you look at that and you say, okay, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and a lot of that got to do with health and longevity because
absolutely.
Both of those guys been injured. Rich, as far as being an athlete, you can't beat injuries. I mean, they're gonna happen.
That's right.
No matter how they go. I mean, the same thing happened to Kobe. Like, who's to say if Kobe didn't get the Achilles injury?
That's right.
I think he had another injury before that. He would have been way past like a lot of these guys' statistical categories or whatever.
Yeah, I agree.
So I mean, we could bring that to the place, true, but I mean, at the end of the day, those longevity numbers with LeBron. Which I mean, I'm not a LeBron hater. I mean, he's in my top 3, but he's just not above Kobe and Jordan.
Listen, man, I don't know how it is on other channels, but on this channel, you don't have to preface what you say with "I'm not a LeBron hater." If you're telling the truth, we're good with that. All right, you don't have to worry about that here.
I'm not biased, man. I'm not biased. That's just for the check because I be kind of going back and forth with the challenge.
I got you, man.
So
yeah,
it's all good. But as far as with the Rich Paul situation, I honestly think they did that to say that, okay, look at his legacy. He didn't join the super team when he had a chance to. When they knew way before us that Bronny was going to end up going to LA because he's already in LA at USC. So I think they kind of did that to save face. You know, to help his legacy out as well.
That's interesting because that's the case. Like, why would it come out now? That's the only thing. And that was reported by, I believe Mark Stein, who's a longtime NBA writer. And as far as I know, he's not a clutch guy. Now he might be like, behind the scenes, but as far as I know, he's not one of those guys that's always waving the clutch pom-pom. So, I mean, you might be right. Like, you might, I don't know.
Just like Steve Lay. Steve Lay not a clutch guy, but he's still waving the LeBron pom-pom. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, the pendulum swing whichever way it can at the end of the day.
I got you.
But everything you're saying is valid, man. Enjoy the show, man. I support, bro.
Hey, I appreciate that, brother. Thank you so much, man.
Okay, big dog.
All right, brother. Have a good night.
All right, you too.
All right, I saw a Transformer was trying to call in. So if you wanna get back to that, and while I got you on the brain Transformer, pause. I saw you had something in the comments earlier about Michael Jordan not defending Magic. So actually, Michael Jordan, if you go back and do the research, defended Magic for a longer period of time, as in more time on the floor than Scottie Pippen did in that series. So I know you LeBron people love to push the narrative that Scottie Pippen did all the defensive work and he was an all-time great defender, no question. But Michael Jordan, if you go back and do the research, because I've done it, actually defended the opposing team's best guard or wing more often through their playoff runs than Scottie Pippen did. You don't have to believe me. Just go do the research yourself. It's all good. Transformer, what's good, my man?
First and most importantly, brother, how you doing?
Doing all right. Thank you.
I'm loving the show tonight, man. I'm loving the interaction in the chat. I'm loving the comments, man. You guys keep it going, but don't forget, hit that like button. If you're on Facebook, if you're on Instagram, go to YouTube specifically and hit that like button. We definitely appreciate it. But anyway.
Yes, sir.
The reason why I called, okay, first of all, I have to thank you for yourself because that was a mad pause that you threw in there before you started talking about this. But I'm going to go ahead and answer this Rich Paul thing.
Okay.
Right?
Yes, sir.
This Rich Paul thing, it's absurd that we go so far to say that all of a sudden this would be a bad idea if this old man and Steph Curry old behind was joining the team and we're going to all of a sudden call it a super team. Who's expecting them to win? At this point, who's expecting them to win?
I don't think for me, it's not even about expecting them to win. It's about the principle of why would you want to go and join your greatest rival? It's the simple principle of the matter for me.
But I think we're comparing what these players think that what we think should matter to these players don't matter. You know what I mean? Like we grew up in an era where we saw the '90s players, we saw the early 2000s where maybe 6-1 team, you don't go to your rival. Man, them dudes don't care these days, man. Nobody cares, bro. AAU basketball has transformed these folks' minds to all they want to do is play with each other at some point. They all do, bro. Like I don't see why it's so far-fetched that LeBron, who's mentioned playing with Steph Curry, that he likes playing with Steph Curry in multiple All-Star games before. He likes his gameplay and everything like that. So all of a sudden, now I want to play with him in Golden State. You know what I mean? I don't see that being such a dire thing that all of a sudden, they will want this to happen. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't understand. I just don't understand.
So I think, and I actually said this a long time ago. To your point, LeBron has been talking for years about how much he enjoys playing with Steph Curry on these all-star teams. And I'm pretty sure he's been asked about it and said it would be great to play with Steph and all that, right? And so I personally think, this is me, because we know LeBron is a long game guy. He was always making that commentary in order to lay the groundwork in case it ever happened, so that, so that his people could always say, LeBron has wanted to play with Steph for the longest and blah, blah, blah. Now he's finally getting this opportunity. But again, to me, and you might be right, they just don't care. But to me, the simplest thing about sports is competition. And that's why Mike and Kobe were such psychos, because they wanted to compete at every turn. So check this, right? I don't know if you heard this story before. When the original Dream Team, 92, the greatest basketball team of all time, no question. When the
Negative.
Oh,
We're
stop
not
it.
going
No, we're
Keep
not.
going.
But yeah, so when the original Dream Team went to Barcelona, we know that, Mike is just a crazy gambler and he's obsessed with competing at everything, right? So David Robinson tells the story that that Mike was trying to get him to bet on whose bags would come out from the baggage handler first, right? The little turnstile that put your bags out at the airport. Right. So he's trying to get David Robinson to bet on whose bags are going to come out first. Like, this is what type of psycho Mike is when it comes to competition. And here's the crazy part. So David Robinson's like, no, like, why would I want to do that? It's not even that serious, right? But he later found out that Mike had already went ahead and paid the baggage people to make sure that his bags came out first.
So he's a cheater.
Yes, he was trying to cheat. Yes, he was trying to cheat.
Oh man, so that's more dirt coming out about him.
Oh, here you.
We know he's a cheater. So
we know he
not
never
only did
cheated.
He manipulate a fellow player. What did he manipulate in the game of basketball to make them numbers so inflated?
Stop.
Can we start that narrative? Where's that narrative? Oh, he cheats his own teammate. He cheats his own teammate. Bruce, you broke the news, man.
I'm just
broke the news.
I'm just talking about how psychotic the dude was about competition,
I mean, I don't see it being truly competitive if you cheat before the competition.
No. I know what you're saying. Mike was crazy, but it was that do anything to win, right? And I don't want to join you. I want to beat you, but I get what you're saying. But no, regardless, I think
that's a different time, though. That's my point. Like Kobe and MJ, you know what I mean? Like they had when MJ finally got the pieces, it never really took much for that to even change. It wasn't much for him to have to manipulate in order for him to keep winning. Yeah, they got, Rodman and added that piece on, and that actually put him in a different stratosphere when it came to that level of competition. Kobe on that same standpoint, I mean, yes, it took years off of his career that he went through those horrible years. Don't get me started on such horrible years post the Shaq era, and then obviously the post Achilles injury era, where it was basically 7-8 years based off his career just being in that hole. LeBron just didn't want to do that. I'm not
exactly.
Mad at him
you just said it.
Wanting to deal with that.
Yeah, but
I'm not mad at him for not wanting to deal with that.
Right,
bro.
but what I'm saying is,
if I control my fate, right, and I'm playing out, we're acting like he's asking for trade. He's playing out his contract.
No, but
his obligation to that team is that, hey, I signed a 4-year deal. 4 years, I'm playing my basketball. I'm gonna play my absolute best. You guys get a championship or two. I'm out of here.
No, I agree with that. I agree. But what I'm saying, and in this case, this particular case, and this is the only one that I know of, he apparently was trying to make his way to Golden State before the contract was up. So that, but in fairness, to your point,
now,
I've always said it.
The Lakers also want to do that.
Maybe
because we actually want to get a little conversation. I do think that's more of a Lakers push. I definitely probably see LeBron would have no problem waiting till the off season or whatever to make that kind of trade, like a signing trade or something like that. You know what I mean? But I think honestly, I believe at some point in time, my Rob Pelinka in the front office, like, hey man, help me out. At least leave us with something. Give us some type of compensation if you wanted to walk out that door. You know what I mean? I think that's more so the Lakers wanting to do that more than Bron wanting to do that mid-season. I don't think Bron ever wanted to leave mid-season. He's never done it. He's never shown reason why I should believe that.
Hey,
He's
desperation. I don't know.
Single contract. You know what I mean? So I don't see him wanting to leave mid-season.
Desperation makes strange bedfellows. That's what they say. But
yeah, exactly. We just saw MJ just hire, pay the freaking turnstile guy just so he can win about it. Hey, desperation, man. He wants to win
oh my gosh.
You said it.
I did. You're a wild dude, Transformer.
But all right, man. The comment section, y'all lighten it up, man. I definitely appreciate it. I wanted to chime in real quick, show my love, show my support. You guys hit that like button if you love the content. I know you do because you still listen. All right? Go and hit that like button, hit that share button. It pushes out to so many other folks that love and talk sports, man. So you're definitely doing it for love. You're definitely doing it for solid. And guess what, guys? It's absolutely free. Cost you not a dime. You guys be safe, Bruce, man. I love you, brother. I'll see you next live.
Appreciate you, brother. No doubt. No doubt.
Yes, sir.
All right. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to move on to the next topic here. And this is the one. Whoo, oh boy. So as you can see from the thumbnail, we have new information saying that LeBron, from an early point in his career, wanted to erase Michael Jordan. And we'll find out all about that. So this is man, this right here is this is crazy. So got this commentary was on Gil's Arena, and he was there with Rashad McCants and Brandon Jennings as usual, and they were all talking, and it was very interesting. So basically how this starts is I'm gonna talk about a couple of other things that Gilbert and his crew were discussing when it comes to LeBron prior to get into the kind of the main event about him wanting to erase MJ, and we are going to talk about that. Let's see, quick. So, do you think the Rockets would have beat the Bulls? It's Sid Bubba. Let me touch on that real quick. So, I'm going to say this. No, I'm going to say no. Now, I will say I never saw Dream play, and I don't know if I've ever seen a big play at a higher level than I saw Dream play from 93, 94, 94, 95, 95, 96. Like, what he was doing was insane. But I don't believe that the Rockets had enough in terms of the role players and all that to have overcome the Bulls. And again, I was speaking of empirical evidence earlier, and the empirical evidence tells us Michael Jordan cannot lose in the finals because it simply never happened. In 6 trips, he never even saw a Game 7. So I'm going to go with the empirical evidence. There's nothing that I can point to that says that the Rockets would have beaten the Bulls. Now, I think Dream would have gotten off. He would have gotten his, and I think he would have caused them holy hell, but I just don't think they would have had enough. Now, maybe that point guard matchup would have been interesting. Kenny Smith and Sam Cassell raining threes from everywhere, but you know, what do you do? I don't think the Rockets would have had enough. I just maybe the 95 team would have gave him a good run with Dream and Drexler. So now you got a serious 1-2 versus the Bulls 1-2 of Mike and Scotty. Then you have a better chance, just maybe. But I still don't think so. Now, of course, the Rockets believe that. I've heard Kenny Smith and Robert Horry both say that they believe they would have beaten the Bulls because the Bulls have no answer for Hakeem, but I just don't know that Hakeem would have been enough. And Michael Jordan is on the record saying he's glad he never had to play the Rockets in the finals because they had no answer for the big Nigerian or the big African, whichever it was he said. So, I mean, maybe the Rockets get him to 7. I don't know, but no one else could. So again, no evidence to prove that happens. But yeah, that's my answer. I don't think that the Rockets could have beaten the Bulls. Would I have loved to see it because Dream is my favorite player of all time? Absolutely. I don't think it could have happened. All right. So yeah, let's get back to Gil's Arena talking about LeBron wanting to erase MJ. But it starts here, right? Here's the first part. So I don't know if you guys are aware. Steph Marbury's been kind of back and forth with the LeBron fans for a few days because he felt like Steph Curry should have been the MVP of the Olympics. I disagree, but that's fine. So of course people are saying, oh, Steph Marbury, he's just a hater. He's just mad, blah, blah. Now they're acting like Steph Marbury was some bum. Like he was really good in his prime. And for most of his NBA career, he was really good. Right. And now let's keep in mind, I think it's safe to say also they're upset, they being LeBron fans, because Steph Marbury said that LeBron shouldn't be mentioned in the same breath with Michael Jordan, which is absolutely true. But I guess they're saying it like he's some type of hater or he doesn't know what he's talking about. But Steph Marbury is a multiple-time All-Star. He's a very, very good basketball player in his prime. He's probably going to end up being a basketball Hall of Famer, more so for what he did in China than what he did in the NBA, even though he was a really good NBA player. But regardless, so they're acting like he's a hater. He doesn't know what he's talking about, etc. But here's the deal. Steph Marbury was in that 1996 class with Kobe and Ray Allen and Allen Iverson, right? And Kerry Kittles and those guys, really all-time great class in the NBA. And so this is a guy who played against Michael Jordan, second three-peat Michael Jordan, right? So he knows how great Michael Jordan was. This is a guy who played against Kobe. He knows how great Kobe was. This is a guy who played against LeBron, young LeBron. And getting into his prime LeBron, so he knows how great LeBron was. So it's not like he's just some old head hater who never had to deal with LeBron, who doesn't understand the problems that LeBron posed, right? Yes, Marbury was on that 04 bronze medal team, so was LeBron. Interesting how Pythagoras immediately pointed to Marbury. But anyway, LeBron was on that team as well. Anyway, so here's the deal. Steph, like most people who've played against all three, say that Michael Jordan is clearly the best of the bunch. I mean, this is not Bruce's opinion. This is not old head haters' opinion. There's not one player who played against all three of them that puts LeBron at the top of that list. But okay, whatever. So anyway, Marbury had some interesting comments to make, and here's kind of how that went and Gil's Arena response, and then we'll come back and talk about that, and then we'll go forward.
Hey, how you feel about what Stephon Marbury said?
Which part? I think Steph only came to the last 2 games. I don't think he had all 6 tickets.
Yeah. I don't know if that's a true statement, but he said LeBron ain't no Mike or.
Yeah,
he's not in the same breath.
Becomes very critical of
not in the
LeBron winning the MVP.
It's his opinion.
Man,
it's his opinion.
Listen, no.
It's his opinion. That's all you can say about that. Well, you can't change his opinion. You can dissect it, but
he said he's not in the same conversation.
To him.
That's.
You know why?
And to me, too. And to me.
So he's not in the conversation, though?
In the same breath. He said in the same breath.
So I wholeheartedly agree with Steph Marbury that LeBron James is not in the same breath with Michael Jordan. That's how great Michael Jordan was, that he's just on a totally different level. Like, he's here, and then everyone else kind of starts here, you know, whether it's Kareem or Kobe or Magic or Wilt or, you know, whoever you have there. Michael Jordan is just that tier above all of them. So, that's kind of what I thought. And I don't think it was ridiculous for Steph Marbury to say that. And as well, he also, you know, said that Steph Curry should have been Olympic MVP again. I disagreed with that because, you know, he played poorly for too long a portion of the Olympics to have gotten the MVP. That's my opinion. Let's see. My Life, Your Entertainment. Kobe respectfully studied Jordan game and shadowed his game. Phil Jackson said better because he was a better shooter versus MJ. Well, he had a slightly better 3-point percentage, but he wasn't a better shooter. Jordan said Kobe would beat him in one-on-one because he stole all his moves. He did say that, but he didn't say he would. He said he might be the only person that could because he stole all his moves. But yeah, Kobe is, and we're going to talk about that. Kobe was that dude. Okay, so yeah. So I don't think that it was unreasonable for Steph Marbury to say that, you know, he felt that way. But obviously the Gil's Arena crew did, except Rashad and the Cans. So I thought that was interesting. All right, so next up, here's Gilbert Arenas' next comments where he's telling flat out lies. And when I come back, I'll explain what I mean by that.
It's all age groups, right? So anybody who's
he watched the game.
Anybody who's probably 35 and under, right? You have new thinking.
Absolutely.
Right? You have new thinking. Before that, right? The 40s and 45, there's no thought process. Because the media we have today didn't exist then, right? There was you did not talk down on Michael Jordan's name or your ass was gone. Period. Skip Bayless, what he's done to LeBron 22 years, he wouldn't have had no job past the first motherfucking month, right?
Yeah.
Anything Michael about Jordan. You said anything about Michael Jordan bad and Michael Jordan like your ass didn't have a job then, right? That don't exist now.
Okay, so he's flat out lying, right? And I could tell you this. Well, first, let me start with this, right? I didn't like the fact that he says you're 35 and under, you have a new way of thinking, as if you're older, like you're not capable of processing information properly based on what is presented to you. Like, I really don't get that. So then he starts talking about how you couldn't say anything against Michael Jordan back then, and if you did, you wouldn't have a job. So let me say this. I'm a journalist. I'm a trained journalist. I'm a credentialed journalist. I've done this, right? I have been in the post-game pressers, and I have written articles for Deadline, and I've been a sports writer. I've done all that, right? So here's the deal. It's disingenuous, not even disingenuous. It's a flat-out lie because he clearly hasn't done any study of what was going on back then. And Rob Parker from The Odd Couple with on Fox Sports Radio with Rob Parker and Chris Broussard, he talks about it all the time, and so does Chris Broussard. If you know anything about the media back then, before Michael Jordan started winning, Michael Jordan was getting torn up by the media. Why? Because they were saying he was an incredible talent. He was a great scorer, but he didn't make anyone better, and you couldn't win with him. He wasn't a winner like Magic and Bird. There were tons of columns talking about that and kind of ripping him and excoriating him for saying that as great as a player that he was, that he never was going to be able to win because you couldn't win one with a guard because back then you won with bigs and you couldn't win with a guy who was scoring that much the way he was, right? So he proved them all wrong because, again, psycho competitor, you tell him he can't do something, he's going to find a way to do it. So Gilbert Arenas he's not even disingenuous. He was flat out lying back then because all you have to do is do the research. And there's a number of articles and columns and stuff out there with sports journalists at the time clearly saying that Michael Jordan was never going to win. You couldn't win like that. He wasn't a winner like Magic and Bird, et cetera, et cetera. So we got to stop this. Again, it's pushing the narrative. Oh, there wasn't media like there is now. You couldn't say nothing against Jordan. Not true. Nino says, how can we say Kobe not in the conversation when we've seen who copied my MJ bar for bar? We've seen what it would be with no triangle and below average players. So I don't think he didn't say Kobe was not in the conversation. What Steph Marbury has always said, though, is that Jordan is just on the next level. And he said that we shouldn't even talk about Jordan. Jordan should be where he is, and then we talk about everybody else. That's what he's always said. My Life Entertainment, Gilbert will cap for clicks. He says, one day, no one is close to Jordan except Kobe. Then the next day, LeBron. Yeah, he does that. And I believe he's on wax saying that he basically says whatever he has to say to make good YouTube and get more clicks. And I think John Sally said that he does that too. Sports T, what's good? Good to see you. It's so true. He had to play through those narratives and prove people wrong. People became history revisionists to pump up LeBron. That is 100% true. And that's why we need shows like this, like mine, like yours, by the way. Check out Sports T. Great show on YouTube. Make sure you go subscribe to that. She gets it done. All right. But yeah, absolutely. People, they do become revisionists of history to pump up LeBron. And it's the same thing we always say. Why can't the work just stand on its own? It just can't. We know why. Anyway, yeah, so I was like, when I heard that, I was like, Gil out here flat out lying. I got to go ahead and address that, especially from the journalism side, because you can see that he clearly, he just says what he wants to say. And that's the frustration, right? Like Rob Parker always talks about how he doesn't like these athlete podcasts, right? And Chris Broussard is kind of on the flip side, like, well, they give us access that we wouldn't be able to get. But Rob Parker's like, well, they can just say whatever they want and there's no real pushback. There's no real, integrity on being honest, et cetera, et cetera. And I get it. All right, but here's Gilbert Arenas' next point when he talks about he thinks that the reason a lot of people have Michael Jordan where they do is because of feelings. Check this out.
MJ. There's just, like, if you think about the 80s, there's just some people that it brings you back to happiness. Like, there's things in your life when you think of it, it makes this a negative thought. Yeah. There's some things that when you think of it, you just naturally smile. That's just Jordan for people.
And look.
So that you're not even going to comprehend it.
But Jordan was beating all these motherfuckers, and they still just happy.
So I get what Gilbert is saying, right? Or what he's attempting to say. He's attempting to reference nostalgia, and what he's trying to do here is tie Michael Jordan to the nostalgic feelings that many people have for the 80s, right? But that's not really what it is, right? I don't think he has it quite right? Because people can have all the nostalgia they want about the 80s, but if Michael Jordan's a bum, they wouldn't connect Michael Jordan to that time. They would connect someone else, right? Every star was criticized, not just LeBron. Exactly, Sports T. Tragic Johnson, anyone? When he blew away the 1984 finals against Boston with those late game turnovers, Tragic Johnson, we talked about that. So, I mean, and he's one of the all-time greats. He's my number 2 overall all-time player, and he made his mistakes. We saw Kareem got outplayed by Bill Walton and beaten in the 1977 NBA Western Conference Finals. So it happened to everyone, and they had to deal with it. But for some reason, it's so beyond the pale for us to criticize LeBron. But anyway, Gilbert Arenas, he's trying to tie feelings to Michael Jordan, nostalgia for the 80s. But the fact is this. If Jordan was some bum, none of that would matter. the fact is Jordan's greatness is what takes us back to those times, right? When we see the highlights of what he was doing, or when we go back and watch the games and it's still unbelievable. And I feel that way when I watch stuff, highlights of Magic or old Bird games or old Olajuwon games. I'm still looking like, oh my gosh, like I can't believe these dudes were doing that. But it's not because of nostalgia for the time. It's because of those guys' greatness. Now, when you then add that onto thinking back about the time, okay, you find something that you enjoyed and the feeling that it brought you, right? We totally get all of that. But Gilbert Arenas, I think he's dead wrong when he says it's about the feeling that Michael Jordan brought people. Now, don't get me wrong. If you came up in the 80s and 90s, yes, there was a certain feeling about it, but that's not what it was about. It was about Michael Jordan's greatness first and foremost, and then the feelings, right? Sports T says, why didn't Magic get depressed and take mental health days? Guys were built different today. No question about it. No question about it. It just is what it is. Back then, when it was hard, you fought harder to overcome it. And again, that is why people don't look at LeBron the same way despite his myriad of accomplishments. It's pretty simple. People today need recognition for losing. We're forced to celebrate losing today. We were never expected to do that until the LeBron era of the 2000s. And that's true. And I have no idea at what point that happened. I don't know if that's the NBA media, if that's Nike. I don't know what was the major point that really pushed and got it to where all of a sudden, like, losing was acceptable and that was something worth trumpeting. Like, when I was growing up, if you lost in the finals or if you lost in the Super Bowl, that just wasn't good enough. That wasn't worth, for instance, switching gears to football real quick. We know how hard it is to get to the Super Bowl in football, right? The Buffalo Bills went to the Super Bowl from 1991, 91, 92, 93, 94, I think. So they went, but the point is they went 4 years in a row. No, 92, 93, 94, 95. They went 4 years in a row. That is almost impossible to do. But no one even thinks about the Bills. Why? Because they lost all four. They never won. So at the end of the day, like my brother likes to say all the time,
you play to win the game.
Right? But when it comes to LeBron, all of a sudden it's different. When he loses, it's okay. And we start giving credit for, well, he's been to the finals all these times. But you've been to the finals and you've lost more than any other former MVP. You've been to the finals all these times, but you're still under 500. You're on the backside of winning in the finals. I don't get it. I just don't get it. And no one celebrates the Bills. Absolutely, Sports T. That was my point. Yeah. Okay. So, but the main point was, Gilbert Arenas, he had it wrong when he talked about the feelings being why people feel how they do about Michael Jordan. No, it was the greatness and it was the winning and it was the dominance. But here was the thing that really caught me, right? About LeBron saying that he wanted to erase Michael Jordan. When I heard this, I couldn't believe it. I was like, I got to get on and do a show about this. So check this comment out and we'll be back to talk about it.
The competitiveness of Bron is this. And this comes from a high table source. Told me they had a conversation after the 2005 season playing Boo Ray with Bron. A bunch of motherfuckers on the table. And Bron just happened to say some shit randomly. And I'm trying to make that other number 23 disappear. The guy who told me looked at everybody else at the table and said, good luck, young fella. Now here we are. What is happening right now? The other number 23 is trying to dissipate out the back window.
Yeah.
But you can't do that because...
Why?
Because it's your highness.
Why?
Your highness.
Why? See, I don't like that. You can't do that.
Yes,
your
I
highness.
can
Do that. Yes,
he's
I
the
can.
origin.
No, that's my goal in life. My goal in life. Michael Jordan.
When you got a creator who created it, you can never take his fingerprints off of the creation. He's the number one guy because he did it first. You can never get rid of him. Then you got a carbon copy.
What did he do first?
Then you got a carbon copy of him that come right behind him. It's like, I'm just like you, but I'm 2.0.
What did he do first?
Okay, so when I heard that, I was like, wait, what? So this is early in his career. LeBron James says, I'm trying to make that other number 23 disappear. I'm trying to erase that other number 23. Can't remember the exact verbiage. But the point is, I totally get that you're wearing number 23 and you believe you're that guy. You're next, right? But why I want to make that guy disappear. Like, that's weird, right? Like, we know Kobe truly believed that he was coming for Mike and that he was going to be better, and he believed eventually that he was better, right? And he did all the work to get to that point where some people believe he's better, but where he was the absolute best possible player that he could be. And in many people's eyes, maybe the second best player of all time, right? Not me, but many people see it that way. So LeBron is first going to say publicly, openly, I'm going to make that other guy disappear. So it's okay, good luck, young fella, right? All right, cool. But then he goes out into his career, and again, outstanding player. He's had a lot of great moments and all this stuff. But then you're wondering, okay, for all of that, then it's like, okay, well, at what point did you realize that you couldn't get there and you stopped? And that's when the cutting corners started, right? That's when the John Stockton, I love the quote, instead of climbing the mountain, you take the helicopter to the top. When did all that start? Was it 06? Was it 07? We heard Melo a couple episodes here back say how early it was that LeBron was talking about teaming up. So you're trying to make people forget the other number 23, but you're not willing to go through what that number 23 went through. You're not willing to go through what number 8 and number 24, same guy, went through to become the legendary players they were. That's what I see. That's what I hear. That's what we see in terms of clutch. And that's what we see in terms of all the media manipulation and the plants and all that stuff. You want it, but you're not willing to do what it takes to get there, right? And see, this is what I don't understand. And so did he really think that by doing all this that he was going to be able to erase Michael Jordan? Did he really think that? Did he really think that he was going to be good enough to be able to get that done? Did he really think that? I just don't understand it. Let's see. It was how MJ and Kobe lost as much as they won. They took the fall. They didn't point the finger. Absolutely. And that's what I love, right? Because we've heard all the snippets and the clips on social media and stuff after losses with them guys saying, hey, we didn't do enough to win. We're going to get back to it. You heard Kobe when he was asked, what are you going to do this offseason? I'm going to work myself to exhaustion. Like, we know that. We never heard them say, I'm going to take my talents and go somewhere else, right? Like, I don't understand that, right? Now, Transformer always tells me these guys don't care. Teaming up doesn't mean anything to them. It's a different mentality, different era. And that's fine. But when you start getting measured against each other, all this stuff comes into play, right? All this stuff. And so LeBron, being the guy he is, he can't possibly, this is what I keep saying, he can't possibly believe that people look at his championships and look at what Michael Jordan did and what Kobe Bryant did, especially Kobe's last two, and think it's the same. He just can't. LeBron tried to set up Embiid to be the fall guy if Team USA lost and Embiid push. Absolutely. You heard how Embiid was getting crucified in the media until he started going off, right? Especially, I guess, in the Serbia game and the rest of the way. Like, he started going off. He wasn't going to have that. Embiid needs to be better, but when Embiid is on and he's focused, he's the best big in the game. Like, he's dominant. What do we got? Sports T said, whoa. Seriously, Lou? Is this real? LeBron had on a shirt that said, I got my stats. Is that real, Lou? Nah. Answer me in the chat. Is that for real? I can't believe that. LeBron took every shortcut and one less. Case closed. Yeah, no, that's a fact. That's the thing. For all of the manipulation you're doing, how is it you still lose more than any other former MVP? That's what I don't get. Sports T says, LeBron isn't better than Tim Duncan, but we need to have a ridiculous discussion about him being the GOAT. I agree. And by the way, y'all, to this comment, check the channel. I did a show a while back, a few months back. I think it's entitled like It's Closer Than We Think or something like that. And it's an argument for Tim Duncan being the better all-time player than LeBron. Now, is it definitive? No, but I think there's a fair argument for it. Kobe and MJ never blamed nor took subliminal shots at their teammates after losses, nor pouted and threw temper tantrums along with fake injuries. Yeah, that was crazy. You're talking about when LeBron came in, I guess, after the finals and he had the brace on his hand or something like that. No, he had the cast on. Like, come on, man. Like, and that's the thing. That's the thing that gets me. How is it that everybody manages to just look past all this stuff like it's nothing? I just don't get it. I just don't get it. Everybody just somehow just keeps, looking past all his nonsense, all his machinations, all his manipulations, and like, well, not everybody, but I mean the LeBronites and the pro LeBron sports media. It is crazy, and I just don't get it. So yeah. So when we go back to LeBron talking about he wants to erase MJ, that's fine to have that mentality. That's fine to think I'm going to be the best of all time, right? Because like we said, Kobe thought that. But you have to provide that with the necessary work. You have to combine that with the necessary mental toughness. And you have to combine that with everything that it takes to be able to get there the right way. Because again, the people that know, real sports fans, real sports media people that aren't scared to say it, like Rob Parker and Jonas Knox. And actually, there's a very recent episode, I think it came out today, of the Dreamers Pro Show, where Jonas Knox and Rob Parker were actually talking, and it was almost like these guys were on YouTube, the way they were basically ripping on LeBron and all of the stuff that him and Clutch do to try and push a narrative, and how they control the sports media for the most part. And it was very interesting. I was like, whoa, so that's a very interesting show. You can check that out after this one. But yeah, so it was it's just crazy. Like, I don't have any problem with you feeling that way if you're willing to do everything it takes to be able to achieve that. And clearly LeBron wasn't. And so we get it. My Life, Your Entertainment says, yes, LeBron wore that shirt. Wow. It said, check my stats. Okay. Yeah, that's terrible. That's terrible. Like, okay, we know you got yours, but that's just it. Like, LeBron, they push this narrative that he's the most unselfish superstar ever, blah, blah, blah. No, he's all about him. And we've seen it in his behavior over the last 20 years. LeBron afoot after they got swept in 2023 by the Nuggets, and fake retirement plans trying to defect from losing the series. Yeah, I remember that. What's up, Bookie Allen? I think you're new too, man. I haven't seen you before. If you're here for the first time, man, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. I appreciate that, Bookie. That was it's always something with LeBron. Again, that's the problem for me. It's always something. It's not that serious. Is LeBron an all-time great? Yes. However, he's a fringe top 10 at best. Here's Mr. Caveat. I agree wholeheartedly. Yep. I agree. Yeah, Lou says I forgot about that fake retirement. And see, so that's what I'm saying. Like, did we ever see or hear any of this type of nonsense coming from Michael Jordan? I know. But the fact is, if you're saying that you're going to make people forget about that other 23, then you have to somehow do more than he did for that to happen. And you haven't done more than he did. And what you have done, you've tried to be slick about it. It is what it is. All right. I guess at this point, what I'm going to go ahead and do is open up the phone lines. I would love to hear all of you guys' thoughts on this. I appreciate you in the chat. The number is 904-219-8264. 904-219-8264. Definitely want to hear you guys' thoughts about LeBron saying from a very young age that he wanted to make the other number 23 disappear. And I would also like to hear about why you think that he didn't go about it the way that he should have. All right. Yep. Let's get it. Ooh, check my stats. Yikes. That's crazy. Oh, my goodness. Sports T, what's good, Dominique?
Hey, Bruce, how's it going? I'm loving the show today. I love these topics. Oh, my gosh. They're really, just amazing. So
appreciate it.
Great discussion today. So first part of your question is, what do I think about him saying at a very young age he wanted to erase Michael Jordan and the other number 23?
Mm-hmm.
First of all, you can't possibly want to erase it if you want to be 23.
Mm-hmm.
Create your own number, make a name for yourself with your own number. Why use 23? If you want to erase, so you want to be known as 23 is what you're saying, when
right.
It wasn't your number. So that's what I think, what was it, Rashad McCants was saying on Gilbert Arenas? Like, you can't erase something that someone else created.
Right.
And I think maybe perhaps what LeBron was trying to do was redefine it, right? Like, okay, I want to redefine what 23 means, but you would have to be better than that. To your point, wouldn't you have to do things better?
I would
Not
think so.
just different, but actually better, meaning
Yes.
you would have to win more because that's why people play the game. Play to win.
Mhm.
So if you didn't win more, if you didn't face tougher competition, if the game wasn't actually harder,
Mhm.
the game is not harder than
Right.
it was in the 80s or the 90s.
Right.
Right? I mean, even just like the resources that you have. I mean, I applaud Michael Jordan for playing in those sneakers. I couldn't play. I'll put on LeBron before I put on a pair of Jordans because they're just so much more comfortable to play in.
Right.
The resources, the kind of conditioning that you're exposed to now versus back then, you had to have a lot of mental toughness to play, in Michael Jordan's league.
Oh, yeah.
You had to be extremely disciplined and mentally tough, right? And then what was the second part of the question? Why do I think, what was it?
So what was it? So the first one was thoughts on the comments. And then the second part was, why do you think that he basically skipped out and decided to try and take the easy way in every opportunity that he could?
Because basically once you commit to something, right, and you're saying these things from a young age, which again, I think is really disrespectful because LeBron is probably the most divisive player we've ever seen in the history of sports. So sports have, for the longest time, brought people closer together. No matter what your political beliefs are, religious beliefs, no matter what side of the, whether you're blue or red, sports brings people together at a dinner table.
That's
and
true.
LeBron basically separates people now, right? People don't get along over this debate. People can't sit in the same room over this debate.
Right.
Like, honestly, I can barely have LeBron fans at my sports table because the delusional,
Right.
things that come out of their mouths is just like, I can't even tolerate it. Right. So it's extremely divisive. So that's what I think about that piece. And the reason why I think that he had to skip around is because his game just wasn't good enough. He never went to college. And so minus the fact that, like the entire family has less than 12 months of college education between all of them.
Right.
You have LeBron who never got to work on his game beyond high school. And it stayed the same. And teams, players, coaches had to protect that game because it just wasn't good enough, right? You have to have spot up shooters. You have to, basically bum rush the lane. Refs have to let you drop your shoulder into the paint just because your game is not what it should be. It's not fundamentally sound enough and it's not conducive for team play.
So,
I mean, we literally just watched two small forwards get kicked off the team and or benched for LeBron. That both of those small forwards are better than LeBron at this state in his career.
Right. So let me play devil's advocate here, right? For those who would say, to your point of he never went to college, you're going to have a lot to say, well, Kobe never went to college. So to that, you say what?
He had to work on his game as soon as he came into the NBA. He got benched. He wasn't immediately thrust into the spotlight of being that guy on a team. Kobe Bryant went to the Lakers. He wasn't that guy on the Lakers immediately. They knew he would be, but Shaq was, he was the veteran. He was the one, right? He was the first option. So he didn't have to come in and be a first option. He immediately, he was given an opportunity to learn, develop his game. And I think that even he's grateful for that. So no matter what the narratives are, oh, he wasn't driving the bus when he first got the Lakers. He doesn't deserve, like, by the time they, he was able to really show what he could do, they were in the finals.
Right.
They had a 3-peat. So that's what happens when you actually come in, you work on your game, and you try to develop. And not for nothing, but Kobe Bryant was fundamentally sound in high school. He was fundamentally sound in high school. He was more ready for the NBA than LeBron ever was. He was more ready then than LeBron is now.
I agree.
In my personal opinion.
I agree.
He was benched. He was just put on the bench. It wasn't that he wasn't ready. The way he was playing, just all of it. When you take a look at how graceful his game is as well, mixed with the aggression and ability to get to the rim, that's not LeBron's game. He cannot shoot the ball. Over 22 years, he still can't shoot the ball. We watched him shoot bricks in the Olympics. We watched him shoot bricks in elimination games. We watched him brick from the free throw line. I mean, it's not LeBron hate. These are facts. he is great at driving the basketball, and he should have been a power forward, not a point guard or this ridiculous point forward position that he tries to play when he's racking up the stats. And you're manufacturing not just games to get you're manufacturing stats and you're manufacturing wins. So, you know, I do believe that he had to skip around because once you put it out there, whether it's to the media, the press, a person, to any person that you are better than, that you're going to be better than, you're the chosen one, you have to make that come true. That was a marketing ploy by Nike.
It was.
This is something that was manufactured before LeBron even got into the league. I'm going to be compared to Michael Jordan. This is going to be my marketing tool. And this is what's going to keep me in, you know, the mouths of the media forever. Because this is, you know, this is kind of this was the plan the entire time. It's kind of like Kamala, you know, sitting around for 4 years deciding, hey, I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to wait for this guy to become completely incompetent and then I'm going to strike. You know what I mean? It's a plan that you've always had. Like nobody believes that Kamala Harris didn't always plan to run for presidency or take over this ticket. Nobody believes that. Do you? And I don't think anybody believes that LeBron James, you know, didn't always have the plan to try to be better than Michael Jordan. And it's evident by that story that, you know, that they're telling, that he said that he was going to erase 23. It's evident in every single action that he has. And it's divisive because instead of paying respect to people and those that came before you that paved the way for you, he would never have been able to get a lifetime Nike deal if not for Michael Jordan.
Right.
And does he deserve that lifetime Nike deal? I don't even think it's deserved because, and I'm going to say the reason why is not because he's not a great player, but nobody wants those sneakers.
That's what I was about to say.
Every single drop.
Yeah, I don't think
every single drop is a sale. I can get LeBron's on sale every single time. I never have to spend full price.
Yeah, I don't
but
think
I
he's
buy
moving.
Them because I want to beat them up on the court.
Right. I don't think he's moving units anywhere near Mike. I think they said that Michael Jordan still outsells every active NBA player combined. So
still,
yeah, that's crazy.
He still does. They can't. So imagine if Michael Jordan's jerseys were still available.
Right.
LeBron's wouldn't be sold out. They have to take his stuff off the shelves in order for LeBron's 23 to move. LeBron's 23 would not move if Michael Jordan's jersey was available in stores. LeBron's, like a simple painting of LeBron that I have one for $39.99 from Kohl's on my wall, but that's because you can't get anything Michael Jordan in stores.
Right.
But if you could, LeBron's, you know, name and likeness would not move as fast still.
Fair enough.
You know, it's just true.
Right. So let me push back on.
Bruce?
Absolutely. Yeah. Let me push back on one thing you said, though. So going into year 22, it took a long time, but I think he shot almost 40% from three last year. It took a long time, but he did knock down threes last year. So I will give him credit for that.
How many threes is he shooting? I'm not going to give him credit because how many threes is he shooting, Bruce?
I don't have the numbers on that. I don't have it up right now.
I know you don't because Darvin Ham required him to shoot more threes this season, him and Anthony Davis. And JJ Redick is going to require him to shoot more threes as well.
Right. So then we'll see where the numbers are.
Yeah, but have you ever seen LeBron make a three where it mattered or where it counted? He still disappears in the fourth quarter, still can't hit threes in the fourth quarter, still can't hit threes in elimination games.
Right.
We saw him try to have an iconic Michael Jordan shot in the, you know, in one of, I think it was game 1 or 2 of, you know, the Denver Nuggets series.
Okay. I was thinking
slightly, took a wide open three and bricked it. He's still shooting bricks. The form is still the same. So the percentage doesn't matter when your form is still the same and your free throw percentage is still in the 70s percentile.
Okay, that's fair. I will say,
you know, if you shot 40% from three at the end of your career,
right,
and you're shooting, you know, anywhere from 8 to 12 threes in a game.
No, I hear that.
The percentage should be higher. He's shooting as often as Steph Curry, but he's not like.
Right.
Do you understand what I'm saying, Bruce? It's
no, I get what you're saying.
Winning, so the 40% is great. If it impacted winning, I'd be ecstatic for LeBron. I'd be like, wow, you know, they made it to the Western Conference Finals again. It wasn't a fluke the year before.
Right.
But we all know it was because they had to manufacture that run to to the Western Conference Finals. I mean, they're manufacturing so much so that, okay, if we win this game, if we lose this game, we'll match up with this team and we'll get this person in the first round. That's what they're looking to do.
Yeah.
Everything is about manufacturing. They don't actually want to compete.
No,
So
you're right.
it can be a new day all it wants to be, but the new day is, hey, I don't want to compete.
Well, I've always said that about LeBron, but
that's the new era. That's the
I was
new
about
mindset.
to say, and
I
it's
don't
not
want to
just him.
compete. I don't want to play. I have mental health issues. Everything is mental health now.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the day, we didn't have the luxury of saying, I just mentally I can't shoot the ball and still collect $40 million.
Figure it out.
But to still collect those paychecks.
That's true. Yep.
You know what I mean? That we didn't have that. Nobody had the luxury to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So LeBron is able to not just be considered one of the best players, of all time, but he's able to be considered that when he just did not, accomplish enough. Not in 22 years. 22 years, 4 rings. And you're calling yourself the GOAT and other people are calling you that. That's a problem.
Yep. Quick side note, when you were talking about LeBron trying to hit big threes, I immediately went to in the Olympics when Steph Curry was going off and he tried to pull up and hit a hero 3. And I'm like, stop.
And bricked it.
Stop.
And,
that's not you.
And we were all wondering why
did you shoot
that shot? You're not that guy. Get your big body and bum rush the lane.
Right.
That's what you need to do. Freight truck it through the lane because that's what you can do, and we're all good with that.
Well,
and we know that that's all you can actually do, especially down the stretch.
You know why he took that shot, though?
Because you won't stand up at the free throw line.
Yeah, but I don't even think it was so much that. It was that, he's a narcissist. He knew Steph. Right. He knew Steph Curry was getting all the attention.
He wants to be in the 3-point party.
Right. So he's like, I'm going to take this hero shot. I mean, can you imagine if he had made that? Everyone. Anyway.
But we would have been happy if he would have made it, whether it was a fluke, whether it was a freak of nature, we would have been happy. I would congratulate if LeBron was hitting clutch shots, go ahead shots, especially on a stage where everybody else has been outplaying him in every single game.
Mm-hmm.
I watched the show of you and Transformer saying that you were fine with LeBron being Olympic MVP.
Yeah, I was okay with it.
But why are you okay with it?
Because
he wasn't the best player in any game, Bruce.
Yeah, but I felt like he was the most consistent player of.
But that's not why we pick MVP.
Yeah, but you can't pick it off of 2 games out of 6, though. That's my thing.
You can't pick it off of 2 games out of 6, but LeBron literally played the most minutes. So how does that make you the best? That makes you the best because you had the most minutes to play. Everybody else was more efficient than you. Everybody.
All right. Well,
I'm saying Kevin Durant outscored him, I think, in every single game in less minutes.
I think LeBron was the second leading scorer on the team, actually. I think. I would have to check, but I believe so.
I don't know. When you play 33 minutes and you're doubling guys that are better than you at this point in your career in minutes, and you didn't outplay anybody in any game, I don't see how that's Olympic MVP. When you had the most turnovers throughout the whole series as well. He had 20 plus turnovers over a course of 6 games.
Yeah, that's a lot. What's that? Almost 4 a game.
That's not Olympic MVP. And you forced Kawhi Leonard off the team. Because he didn't pass to you during practice.
Yeah, that was interesting.
LeBron went complaining to the coach. Clippers president of basketball operations had an interview and said they had nothing to do with it.
Yeah, that was crazy. I think I heard that on your show.
That's Olympic MVP, that you have to manufacture one of the best small forwards in the game, who this could probably be their last Olympics playing.
Mm-hmm.
You had to get them off the team in order to look good. That's not Olympic MVP.
All right,
Michael Jordan didn't remove Isaiah Thomas because Isaiah Thomas was going to outshine him during the Olympic Games. He just didn't like him, which I'm not saying is any better, but he didn't have to manufacture being the best guy on that team.
Right.
And people want to change history, right? Oh,
they do.
Michael Jordan lost to the college team. He was benched that game. Chuck Daly made it so that they lost to them.
Yeah. They did that on purpose. Yep. Because the next game they came back and they destroyed them dudes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But Michael Jordan wasn't on the floor for that. So people, like I said, like to revise history for LeBron because that's what plays into a narrative.
Mm-hmm.
That somehow makes LeBron the GOAT, and he's still not. If we want to sit here and say Michael Jordan's not the GOAT, I'm fine with that because I don't believe there is a GOAT. But it damn sure isn't LeBron. I can tell you that right now.
Fair enough. All right, D, we're going to leave it right there.
All right, Bruce, always a pleasure. Great
absolutely. Thank you
tonight.
for calling. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you got it anytime.
No doubt. Listen up, y'all.
Alrighty.
So that's Dominique from Sports T. Make sure you head over to Sports T on YouTube. Subscribe to that show. Another really good sports talk show there. And you can also find her usually on Full Panel Fridays on the Man Down Sports podcast. So make sure y'all do that.
Shout out to you, Bruce. You're the best.
Absolutely.
Have a good one, okay?
All right, later, D.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye. All right, I'll take one or two more calls if you guys want to call in, and then we'll wrap it up for the night. Real good topics tonight. Definitely enjoyed this. Like I said, man, when I saw this stuff, I'm like, man, I gotta get on. I gotta get on here, and I gotta talk about this stuff, man, because I couldn't believe it. Steve, you crazy, man. You crazy. Yes, she is. All right. So yeah, 904-219-8264, 904-219-8264. If anybody else wants to call in and give a little bit more thoughts on this LeBron trying to erase Michael Jordan and etc. If not, we'll go ahead and we'll bring it to a close. All right, I guess we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna call it for the night here. Listen, I appreciate everybody who tuned in. Thank you so much. Thank you everybody for getting busy in the chat, giving your feedback. I totally appreciate it. One thing I'm gonna ask you, looks like pretty much everybody liked and subscribed. If there's anyone who hasn't, please make sure you go to the YouTube page, like and subscribe to the channel, and do this, man. Make sure you're sharing the show. I know that all of y'all who are in here kicking the knowledge in the chat and talking and interacting with me, I know that all y'all got friends who love sports talk and want to hear a different voice than, you know, the Nick Wrights and the Shannon Sharps and the same people you always hear. So make sure you're sharing the show with your friends, and make sure that when you like and subscribe, or when they like and subscribe, you also have them hit that notification bell, because there's going to be times when, like tonight, when I was not expecting to come on to the show and do a live, but, you know, these topics came up today and I was like, man, I got to get to these. I got to go ahead and drop my thoughts on it for my people. So make sure that you guys are not only liking and subscribing, but that you're also making sure you hit that notification bell. All right. So I appreciate it. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stop it right here. I got you, Steve, man. Well, you're going to have plenty more opportunities to call, bro. Appreciate the support of everybody. Y'all have a great night, and I'm out. Peace.